Well, Professor Ayade, just a few minutes ago, Cross River State was a special focus in our business segment with Rotu Sudiri. And it was providing basic statistics provided by budget and also by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. And some of the things he said, the information he provided, we said, oh, when you arrive, you will tell us a bit more about what happened. The data says, for example, that Cross River State has a debt profile of about 197.21 billion naira. 197.21 billion. And it is regarded as one of the most indebted states. In terms of ease of doing business, Cross River, under your watch, dropped to 33rd place. Cross River also has a foreign debt of $279 million, and that was as of 2021. Unemployment is 53.65%. And the frozen chicken that you promised will be a major export forex earner for Nigeria. He was also asking what happened to the frozen chicken initiative under your watch. These are some of the proposals that were raised before you joined us. I don't know how many of them you'll be able to respond to. The huge debt profile you are leaving behind, and also, the high unemployment rate, despite the various initiatives that you introduced.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I don't know how you derived your figures, but statistically speaking, I met Cross River State, and that's very, very high figures of unemployment. That has changed dramatically. And I've just spoken to the Statistician General of the state to please give them a more current figure. Again, all the entire debts you have so mentioned are debts that I met. I met between 383 to 403 billion naira debts that I met as governor. I have been servicing this debt by approximately 2.2 billion every month, which has dropped down to about 1.6 billion today. So I didn't borrow money. I've never borrowed from any foreign country. You know what it takes to have a foreign debt. The Cross River State doesn't have it. Even before I was sworn in, Cross River State, amongst 2 other states, were declared insolvent and therefore cannot borrow. We don't have a headroom to borrow. We've had occasions where we have done bridge financing, which gets cleared up within a 3 months to 6 month cycle. We have kept within reasonable logic to sustain the aggression you see. So the statistics you read are not statistics occasioned by my administration. On the frozen chicken, outstanding classic, first of its kind in the whole of Africa, I must say. Unfortunately, you need a lot of soya beans, you need a lot of maize to be able to produce the feeds. The feed bill is there, the poultry is there, the farm is there, the hatchery is there. Unfortunately, you need massive amounts of soya bean and maize to be able to produce the feeds to feed the chicken, to be able to get them to the slaughterhouse. And so we try to encourage young people to go into farming. That has been particularly difficult, occasioned by issues of insecurity, lack of the initial capital, which led to the fact, which made me to set up the Cross River State Microfinance Bank, for which I injected 600 million. On that fund, in order for them to do recovery, was restricted to give loan only to civil servants who have a salary income from where they can do the recovery. So you get to the factory, which I'm going to demonstrate. A team of Egyptians have arrived in Nigeria today. They're in Calabar with me. By 11 o'clock, I'll be leaving Abuja for Calabar, just to visit the poultry farm and perhaps take it over. The first person who started this project with me, a Pakistani American, today is the biggest poultry farmer in Angola. So huge that Angola have stopped importation of chicken. There's a problem with our country and a problem with Nigeria. A good project, good dream, good everything, but social media criticism called politics destroys a very good intention. And I think we are very fine as a state that under my watch, I focus on the stomach, on human beings. And I think that nobody will dispute the fact that I'm the first governor perhaps in our history that will be leaving the state without owing salary nor pension.
All right, Professor Ayade, thank you for your comments. Now, talking about big dreams for the people of Cross River State, one of the big dreams that you had for the state and which you materialized in July of 2021 was the launch of Cali Air. In fact, your basis or perhaps justification, despite criticisms about whether or not a state should be involved in starting an airline, was that it was to boost the economic activities of Cross River State, and that you had said that it was to manage the influx of people into your state, which is supposed to be a tourist destination, and how other airliners, aircraft owners had monopolized that. So you wanted to break that monopoly. You also said that you took no loan facilities to launch that airline and that it was the taxpayers' money of Cross River State that funded that project. I'd like you to please share with the taxpayers who are watching the progress of the airline. Has it been able to make profit? Where is it currently? What's happening with Cali Air?
First, I think we should start with a congratulations that Cross River State, with the lowest allocation in the country, the highest debt profile in terms of local and foreign debt, among the top 3 most indebted states before I came in as governor. We'll have an airline and now also have an airport. That ambition is so huge, and I think I should start with that congratulatory message. I think it's critical. But importantly, Cali Air itself, we bought 2 aircrafts, a 737-300 Classic. We bought 2 aircrafts. Unfortunately, you need a minimum of 3 aircrafts to have an AOC. So we have no other option than to actually have our 2 aircrafts given to Aero Contractor, which is the only airline that has an MRO, which means it has a license to service Boeing aircraft in Nigeria. So we partnered with them with a long history of over 60 years without a crash. So we thought that in terms of safety records, maintenance, and what have you, they are the best company to partner with. So we partnered with them as the operators of Cali Air. And they'll be operating as Cali Air. Within the same period, our hope was to be able to raise enough resources to be able to get a 3rd aircraft and have an independent AOC so we can run on our own. Take the case of Emirates. Emirates attracts a lot of footfalls into Dubai, but Emirates runs at a loss. Emirates gets subvention from their government in spite of the huge traffic they bring in. But take away Emirates from Dubai, Dubai will die. And so the profit center is not really in the airline, but actually the densification of the footfalls that we eat downstream associated benefits, occasioned by the fact that as they come in, they patronize the hotels, the restaurants, and create an activity and create an economy. And so the concept of Cross River State being a tourism capital of Nigeria with a frustrating travel plan where sometimes you want to come to Cross River 2-3 days. You know, its history is such a sad story. If you don't record it, you don't store it, you don't play it often, nobody remembers. 2-3 days, you will not have a flight going to Calabar, lack of passengers. But today, you will queue and queue and queue to get to Calabar. What changed? Go and look at the amount of people who stay and lodge in Cross River hotels today. It's on the rise. I remember one of the hotel owners, Azari, told me that, look, those who don't know we who are hotel owners in Calabar can tell you the difference by just our occupancy rate. And so, Cali Air, as it is today, is we're undergoing a process of concession because we need to concession it out. Working with Aero Contractor have not been a very healthy experience because Aero became a property of AMCON, as it were. So all the monies they have made, it's supposedly with AMCON. We're struggling to get the money out of AMCON. They've not paid any money to Cross River State. We also don't have so much money to be able to subsidize it. The principle, the policy thrust, the direction is very clear. It is a commitment that I have made that we will continue to keep Cali Air flying. You just check the history of aviation, it's not really a profit center as it were, but it helps to create a secondary economy, which is the intent. And I think it's the right decision that we have taken. And I'm sure that Cross River will show you the difference, particularly at a time where going to Calabar was like it's a punishment to travel to Calabar at 120 when the prices to other states were about maybe 50,000. So it was imperative that I did what I did, and I'm happy we did, and we didn't borrow money. The records are there.
Just very quickly, Professor Ayade, and that's just your last point, yes, that you didn't borrow money. Would you consider this a judicious spend of the taxpayers' money in Cross River State, bearing in mind the other projects that these funds could have been channeled to?
I have said it clearly that Cali Air increased the footfall into Cross River State. I've said that. And so how could I have thought of an alternative? If people can't come in and go out in a state that you say is the tourism capital, what happened? The traffic to Calabar and the traffic to every place else. Aero insisted that they wanted alternative routes. That's why they're flying to other routes and flying less to Calabar. So we reduced it to 3 times a week, obviously because they think that the traffic to Calabar was not as commercial as the traffic to other places like Lagos, Kano, and what have you. And so we decided at a point in the Executive Council, where we said, should we just service Calabar because there's a social component of it, or we do as business? In the same Executive Council, we took a decision that the essence of Cali Air was to support cross-variance. So we decided to run that route. And they said, look, because you are forcing us to run Calabar so frequently, we're unable to make money. Allow us the luxury of running other routes. And we eventually approved. And that's why today, you see Cali Air flying to other routes.
Okay. So a couple of fact check for you, Governor. At first, you said just now that Emirates is not making profit. That's not true. Only 6 days ago, Emirates made $2.9 billion in profits. Secondly, you said you did not collect loan. That's not true. There's a story on the 20th of February 2020 that says Ayade gets a nod to secure $35 billion loan in Cross River. And this was where you went to the House of Assembly to secure $35 billion from 3 commercial banks. All right. And thirdly, you talked about the fact that there was lack of soya beans for your project, your poultry project. Didn't you do your feasibility study enough to understand that there was going to be lack of soya beans and maize to be able to power, the Kalas chicken factory? That's number 1 question. Number 2 question will be, please tell me how the 45 billion.
I'm not jotting down.
No. This is the real question. The first 3 were fact checked.
Unless.
No, Governor Ayade, the first 3 were fact checked.
No, your fact check was wrong because I did borrow 35 billion. An approval does not constitute borrowing. If you have an approval, just check 80% of what we have approved never been paid. I didn't borrow money to buy this Cali Air. Please, once more, I say it on authority and the God I serve, I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay.
Don't read newspapers. Come and I'll show you. Let me tell you how. Let me give you information on how I bought Cali Air. Lafarge was paying 270 million. Lafarge is the biggest cement factory in Calabar. They were paying 270 million. And I traveled to France for a conference, and I saw that Lafarge was investing hugely on financing a conference that was, they spent $50 million, and $50 million to just support a conference. When I came back, I said, look, if you can do this somewhere else, you're creating volcanic erosions, potential volcanic erosions in my state. You're digging out a lot of limestone, leaving all of these dangers. Why can't you appreciate this small figure you pay? I negotiated something they couldn't get for $150 million to $2.8 billion. The first payment we made, we used it to fix salary. The second payment, we added money to it to be able to get the aircraft. Third payment, we did same. That's how we got the aircraft. The records are there.
Okay, Governor.
If it's approval, we get approvals, you don't get the funding.
Okay, Governor, I'm not saying you borrowed to do Cali Air. I'm just talking about the fact that you said you didn't borrow. Governor, just hang on a minute. There was another one that you were seeking a loan request for $10 billion from First Bank and Zenith Bank. It was around that time. But let's move on from all of that, Governor. I've asked you 2 questions. Number 1 was,
I don't know.
Didn't you do?
Wait.
No, Governor, please, let me speak. Let me speak, please. Didn't you do your feasibility study enough to know that there was going to be scarcity of soya beans before you embarked on that project in the first place? Because you said, there was no soya beans and all that. And secondly, I would like to know what has happened what is happening to the 45 billion for the Bakassi Stabilization Fund. Because there's nothing going on and the people are impoverished in Bakassi. That's all I want to know.
Which one is the 45 billion Bakassi Stabilization Fund? There's no such fund. There's no such fund like 45 billion stabilization fund from Bakassi.
Your government.
Where are you getting your statistics from?
No, hang on a minute, Governor. Your government alluded to the fact that you have received 45 billion in Bakassi Stabilization Fund when somebody erroneously said they were paying you $500 million monthly, and you said no, it was 500 million naira. So what has been done with that money for the Bakassi people in your state watching today? Your government said it, not me. You can check the facts, they're there.
First, there's Yes, let me come back to that. First, there is no such thing as 45 billion stabilization fund for Bakassi to Cross River State. You can also do your fact check. Two, I built a very outstanding housing estate. I have a very outstanding, fantastic estate that I built for the people of Bakassi and brought them in there. But I think with the NSAS, it was destroyed. But essentially speaking, I would think my people will send you pictures. You go in there and see the fantastic estate that was built with the road network done, lighting, power, generator, everything fixed, and did a massive ceremony. Commissioning ceremony was done by the Obong of Calabar. Got them a fantastic place to live. That's one thing I did. Now, Cross River State earns far less than our salaries in a month. We pay between 3.2 to 3.6 billion in a month. Our allocation, after deductions, we are left with 900 million to 1.2 billion. 500 million that used to come monthly that has since stopped was a fund that helped to augment salary payment. And the records are there. And when you ask questions, you ask with open mind. You ask because if you have not received our own figures to compare with the figures of the critics that throw those documents to you, please, it would be better to also do so with a lot of righteous caution. Otherwise, you'll be pumping in figures that are wrong. For example, Ayade has never received 45 billion naira into my account as Bakassi settlement. Never, never. And here you are putting the figures in the public.
I'm sure you know somebody called Mr. Christian Ita, the special advisor on media to you. All right. He made this known in a statement available to newsmen in Calabar. He said the money was a sum of 500 million naira monthly that accrued to the state in 91 months old administration of your government. And he said the money cumulatively was about 45 billion, 500 million naira monthly. This story was released on the 5th of November 2022, and it was a reaction to somebody saying you were receiving $500 million. But you just denied just now that you didn't receive Bakassi stabilization fund.
And you're not listening, you're not getting, it's not Bakassi stabilization fund. You're getting it all mixed up. I said the 500 billion stabilization fund for the states that comes is used for augmentation, and that has since stopped. And that we earn 900 million to about 1.2 billion every month. We have a salary of 3.2 billion. Have you asked me where do you get money to pay for that difference? Have you asked that question? Answer me. Answer to me how I'm able to pay salaries up till this April that we are in. April is the outstanding salary, which I'm going to pay this week. Have you asked me?
Governor Ayade, can we make progress? I want to ask you two questions. Twice this morning,
yes, please.
You have said that you lost the election, the senatorial election. You were defeated by Senator Jarigbe with close to about 60,000 votes. And, we've said that in itself is an expression, of rejection by your own people after serving for 8 years. Then secondly, you were quoted as having just said this week that, the consultation about the National Assembly leadership was not romantic enough. What has romance got to do with the selection of leaders for the National Assembly? Just those two things.
Unfortunately, you don't understand the sociology of English. Romantic means emotional conviction, because the people who want to be the leader in the leadership of the Senate it is their right. It is their inalienable right to seek to become president or deputy Senate president of the Nigerian Senate. So if you have to tell them that the leadership of the party on whose platform they became senators, and that the leadership said they should step down, there should be some diplomacy, there should be a bit of emotional romance. And that is in the social application, and that is elegance of English. It is the arrogance and the sarcasm of the extrapolation of how to use grammar. It does not mean a romance in the nativistic method that you think. So that is clear. On the state and Cross River State, please, can you ask this question? Can you answer this question? In the history of Cross River State, has there been a governor who has paid salary and pension to date the way I have? Did I meet an income equivalent to my salary? Have you asked me that differential, that cost differential, the projects I have done, like the garment factory, like the poultry factory that you are talking about, the hatchery, all of those huge projects that I'm starting the commissioning this next week. Can you ask, how did I get that money? Again, on the record, when you say 500 million every month, that 500 million every month has nothing, it just adds to the salary payment. It just goes straight onto addition to this. And you still have a shortfall. You have to look for bridge financing. You have to bring intellectual money and all that to be able to sustain the salary regime, for which we are committed to, because the citizens come first before any infrastructure. In any case, I have 5 bridges. I have several drag carriage routes. In terms of the issue of the North Senatorial District election, I don't want it before the tribunal. I don't want to discuss the issue. But if I open the gale of the militarization of the Northern Senatorial District, you will know. I come from Northern Senatorial District, where Catholicism is about 90%. The reality is that the people of the North, when you see me drive through, you see the amount of chair. We didn't have a proper election because the military took over the entire state. In fact, when I saw the amount of armored tanks, I just asked myself whether we were in war, or whether there was something specific. Of course, we heard the security reports that they were going to bring in a lot of army to destabilize my senatorial district. This was communicated to the 13th Brigade Commander in my last Security Council meeting, that I hear that there's a lot of intent to bring a lot of army into my senatorial district. The election did not hold. The smallest local government area, which is number 2, the Ogoja local government area, that have never brought votes compared to Yala, now was bringing thousands and thousands of votes. But as you go further, which I don't want to discuss, but you can see clearly that there was no election. It was simply the militarization and just cutting the polling units, driving people away and collecting results and announcing results. Go and check. We have a video we can give to you where somebody was saying, look, for my dear life, I have to feel what they want to feel. It's on video where you have people inside the collation center who are candidates for the election. And as a governor, I am seated in my house. But you have the other candidate moving from collation center to collation center with a team of people armed. It's not something I want to discuss on TV, but you just ask you, and you use language that is not polite. Reject, you defeated. In politics, they say won. You don't use defeated. You use language that doesn't suggest civilized communication. And in public speaking, the choice of language matters. It shows the level of elegance. It shows the level of education and scholarship of the soul. When you use words that are not intended to communicate decency, it appears that you come with a mindset, and I think it's unacceptable language.
Well, Governor Ayade, let me ask you a romantic question. Since we are talking grammar this morning, are you sitting down?
Now that you understand the word romantic,
are you sitting down here talking to intelligent people, and you are telling us that the payment of salaries and pension is an achievement? Is that an achievement that you paid pension, you paid salaries?
Oh my God! Let me answer. You see, that's the innocence of where you sit. Salary and pension is a fantastic achievement in the circumstance today. And I tell you why. You see, you build a road, but you need the citizens to have their independent ease and their integrity to be able to walk on those roads. But what is the point of building a skyscraper when your people and citizens are poor? I'm a son of a civil servant. My father retired as a civil servant. So because of that, I am conscious. And I know the circumstance under which I was brought up. So I know that salary and pension is far more critical than any other project. The citizens of this country matter more than an attempt to show that we're a developing nation and building massive projects where your people are predominantly poor. And I can tell you, Cross River State ranks number 1 in terms of commitment to salary and pension, yet we're number 36 in terms of federal allocation. Let me tell you, I inherited, for example, the Obudukatu rank, 36 months salary arrears. And I've cleared that. And you think that is not big news? You think Cross River State with the lowest allocation in the country, not owing salary, not owing pension, is not big news? Please go to other states and check states that earn far more than I do and owing 7-8 months salaries, even as they are leaving office. You don't see it as an achievement? Then you don't focus on the people. Besides, I did not ignore infrastructure. In Calabar today, you can't enter Calabar unless you go through the Ayade dual carriage road I've done. I call it Ayade because it's done in my administration. From Calabar to Odupani, I've just done the dual carriage road. The super highway, I'm commissioning the first phase of super highway. The spaghetti flyover is due for commissioning. The Boki bridge is due. The dual carriage road from Obudu to Bekwara up to Obaliko, completed, ready for commissioning. Of course, you have the Iyala, Ogoja. I can go on and on. I have the highest dual carriage road construction in the history of governors in Nigeria. Come and see. Teachers Continuous Training Institute, the biggest in the whole of Africa, completed and is in operation. And so, look, I am strategic. I know my circumstance. I know my history. I know my people. If you come to Cross River State today, okay, I'm a superhero. Superhero because you have not asked. Wait, you have not asked yourself.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, Governor Ayade, thank you. Now, talking about salaries and the achievement of paying salaries, the Trade Union Congress have actually disagreed with that it's not an achievement to pay workers' salaries. They've gone to work, it's their right to earn, so it's not an achievement. But just to say that they've also said that under your administration in 8 years, civil servants have fared very poorly, that gratuities haven't been paid, also no promotion in 7 years. I'd like you to address that. Then, on salary payments, just in April last month, street sweepers were protesting in front of your office that they hadn't been paid. Was that resolved? Was that an issue? Because around this payment, pensions, gratuities, and the like. Sorry, I just want to, I have two questions for you. I'll just land, just for you to respond to that question one. And then, earlier this year, the former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, had said
why don't I take those questions? Because I don't have, I'm not recording anything.
Right.
So allow me to take those questions.
Please go ahead.
For example, the street sweepers. I met street sweepers earning 5,000 naira a month. 300 people earning 5,000. I increased the number, increased their salary. But we pay through a contractor. When you pay a contractor, the contractor does not pay the street sweeper. You have challenge. It's not the street sweeper salary is the least of it. They came to me. I wasn't in the state. I came back. I paid them and brought it down to 1 month outstanding, which is the one we're going to pay. And when I tell you that we're going to pay, they are going to be paid. So the street sweepers thing was just politically motivated because, for what I have done for them, for the amount of love I have shown to them, provide coveralls, increase what I pay to the contractors so that they can get more money. That has never happened. I did all of that. And how would you say? And then you're talking about salary payment, not a big issue. Salary payment is a big issue because what I earn is far less than the salary for the month. And how can you tell me I earn 900, and I'm saying it on public television, between 900 and 1.2 billion, 2.2 marks, and I have 3.6 billion to pay as monthly salary. This is minus gratuity. And you're not focusing on how are you paying for the difference. That should bother you. And again, maybe your questions is intended for me to clear certain doubts. But the statistics you read of Cross River State should please allow me the benefit of knowing clearly that civil servants in Cross River State would tell you that I have a very compassionate heart and that I place their interest more. In my entire regime, almost 8 years, we had just about 3 strikes. Most of them, how can somebody say that I'm not promoted when I have issued promotion authorization up to 2023? Promotion and effecting the implementation of the promotion, gradual implementation of the promotion, all done. And it's unfortunate that the information you have is so different from the reality.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Governor.
intended to just to...
Okay, no, Governor, I think you should cease from saying people are intended to bring you down. No, we want the very best for Cross River State like we want for every part in Nigeria. So you have to be open-minded. Take, for instance, you said you've done a lot of projects, Governor, but none of your projects have worked. Kalas Chicken is not working today because you said there's no soya bean and all of that. You didn't do the feasibility study for that. Please let me finish, Governor. Let me finish. Would you let me finish? No. Kalas Chicken is not working. Kalas Vegas is not on stream. Kali Air isn't flying because even the planes that you give to aero contractor, are they airborne as we speak? So almost all of these big projects you're talking about are not working, and these are at the expense of the people. People also complain about cronyism. Take, for instance, the sweeper contract. Can you please confirm for me, is that project given to your brother? That's another one. But most importantly, I would like to ask, what are you doing as regards upgrading the unemployment rate in your state? Because you said you've done so much, but the unemployment numbers are still very, very abysmal. We have not seen your data.
Your unemployment statistics you have is as old school, because I told you down that I've told my statistician general to give you the update. You're driving that figure from the 2012 statistics. 2012. So, again, in the whole of Cross River State, the projects you've mentioned, today, you're going to watch me live, where you are going to see Kalachika working. Ask Aero Contractor and ask the schedule there, you see that they are flying. So I don't know where you derive the information that these are not working. In any case, Kalachika works. And for the contract for sweepers contract, there are over 5 different subcontractors. Over 5 different subcontractors. Those subcontractors earn far less. Don't forget, Cross River State is a state where nobody is paying 1 kobo even for refuse collection. For refuse collection, you want a city to be clean. Calabar is the cleanest city, but you can never get somebody to accept to pay refuse levy. So we don't collect refuse levy. I gave refuse bins to the entire state when I came into office. Those refuse bins were converted into something else. You put those bins now of steel. Those steels are broken, cut into slash, and sold as scrap metal, which led to the fact I had to scrap the scrap metal agency, because we put bins for collection of refuse. Those bins are scrapped and sold as scrap metal. You put street light, those street lights are taken, and I think it's a national issue. And that brings us to the fundamental issue where salary, pension, payment of people's due, it's an entitlement. It's actually not supposed to be an achievement. It has just become an achievement because the gap between what I earn and what I'm supposed to pay out as salary alone, the gap analysis shows that there is a deficit. There's a deficit. And that deficit, in addition to all the projects I'm struggling to carry on. Don't forget, I'm not doing roads. If you finish a road today, you can start driving on the road the following day. But if you build a factory, you need to train people, you need to employ people, you need to have NAFDAC approval, you need to do training, you need to do marketing. That investment itself is sometimes as huge as the project. So you need a concessionaire, you need a private sector participation. Government has a right to catalyze into existence a private sector. But government can build a factory, but government can't run the factory. The toothpick factory is fully operational. The cocoa processing factory requires 3 billion naira in a minimum. These are big dreams of a state. You can't shy away from thinking big. If your ambition is sufficient for you to achieve in a lifetime, it was too small. Not to think of an ambition that you achieve within
Mr. Governor. Can you hear me, Mr. Governor, please? I want you to calm things down and stop. It's not a negative outlook on you. We're just stating the facts here. If Kalachika is working and producing XYZ tons of chicken a year, it's for the betterment of your state, and I will be happy, and I will toot your horn. But as we speak today, how much chicken in a year is Kalachika producing? Because you said personally here that you didn't make feasibility study for soya bean, and there were not enough chickens to run Kalachika. Secondly, Governor, I asked you a question. That is your brother part of those doing the sweeper contracts? You said you have a couple of subcontractors. Is your brother part of them? That's the second question I'm asking you. And you talked about all the factories you have, but a lot of them are not working.
Wait. My brother is not part of them at all. And I can mention the names of the various contractors. And they are not. What happens is that when there is a failure by any contractor, we step in and effect a cleanup of a town where there is no payment coming in at all. Because we know that the income of the state cannot afford to collect refuse, supply water, all of this for free, and pay salaries and pay pensions and service debt. My debt servicing is too huge for the income of Cross River State. It's important for you to take note of this. And the industries you are talking about, I did a referendum. The first time a governor will subject his factories to a referendum or his project. And the general response was that don't privatize, rather less concession. So we did a concessioning. The concessionaire has a responsibility. I built British Canadian University. Only the day before yesterday, the Federal Executive Council approved the British Canadian University Obudu. But these things takes time to mature. It's different from when you do a building. You commission a building. You do a road, you commission a road. When you build a factory, the journey to its maturity begins to start. And that's why you have somebody like Prince Basio too, who is the incoming governor, coming in with a clear understanding that what I have just done is that I just laid the foundation for a prosperity agenda for Cross River State. You'll be very unfair to me if you don't recognize a very essential point for this discourse today, even if this is my concluding remark. Well, in the name of God I serve, what we earn as a state, is lower than what we pay as salary. So if you see that gap and see what I have achieved from garment factory to chicken processing factory to pharmaceutical factory to feed mill to 2 power plants, 50 megawatts power plant, one at Adiabo and one at the parliamentary station, all in Calabar. If you go further to see the cocoa processing factory, the university, the airport, the airline, you go ahead to check the rice processing mill. Jesus Christ, you must come from the extreme enemy to see a man who has the lowest allocation in the country reel out all of this project. In addition to all the roads I have done, you couldn't pass through Odupani Junction. Today I've done a spaghetti flyover across it, connecting into phase 1 of Superhighway. Superhighway complete, phase 1 completed. And you don't see the magic. All you see is the statistics that you read in a paper pushed by enemies who think that Ayade has moved from PDP to APC and has therefore moved the state. Why did you think that I could win the state, could win the governorship, win all the Senate seats except mine, win almost 60% or 70% of the House of Reps in less than 2 years, changing to APC in a party that, in a state that is traditionally a PDP state? And you don't see the achievements? Jesus Christ.
Governor.
I can tell you I celebrate myself.
Governor.
And the Cross Riverians do celebrate me.
Governor Ayade.
Yes.
As we begin to wrap up now, just very brief questions. You talked about pensions. Is there pension for former governors of Cross River State? And then what happened to Tinapa? What happened to Budukatu Ranch, which is also no longer functioning? But first, is there pension? Is Mr. Duke and Mr. Imoke, are they collecting pension?
Yes, they have pension. They're entitled to pension. In recent times, I've been paying their pension religiously, and of course, I'm retiring to the former governors as well. So they've been earning their pension. As a matter of fact, I don't want to call names here on TV, but I just spoke with one of the former governors yesterday, and he's full of very kind words for me. Obudu Cattle Ranch, there's a sadness in my soul. I'm from Obudu. That ranch is our pride. Obudu Cattle Ranch, when I came in, the cable car wasn't working, the ranch wasn't working. You people forget so easily. I never met it working. But I invested in paying 36 months salary backlog. I fixed the cable car, 169 million, by the same original company that installed the cable car. Fixed it, my first Christmas, after putting 169 million naira and 5 million on diesel. I earned 88,000 naira from the cable car. The whole amount we raised, 88,000, because the cable car was too sophisticated an ideology for people who are predominantly poor civil servants. So nobody is willing to come and pay 1,000 naira to go up the cable car when you can ride a bike for 100 naira and get up to the ranch. So here we are, expecting revenue only at Christmas. And then secondly, I renovated the entire Obudu Cattle Ranch, bought brand new generators. My commissioner for power, he can testify to this. And put the power. Imagine after investing so hugely to renovate the ranch, there is no month that there's 10 kobo that's being realized because people come sparingly. So if you have 2-3 guests staying in a hotel, oh, the ranch is dead, the ranch is dead. The challenge of the ranch is access. You have 7 hours travel time from Calabar to get up the ranch. Who does that? And that's why we're building an airport in Obudu. Because the airport is the only way that can increase traffic to the ranch. Please, if I put gold in the ranch, if I renovate Obudu Cattle Ranch and make it all of gold, the fact that you travel through a perilous road of 7 hours to go to the ranch, enjoyment cannot be endurance. You cannot entertain that level of stress. You will never come back the second time. So I know that the challenge of the ranch is access to the ranch, power in the ranch. These things come in time. So people ask, why should you build an airport? Why would I not build an airport? The journey from Abuja to Obudu is 6 hours. The journey from Calabar is about 7 hours. In one state. And you expect that the ranch should flourish. Would you travel by flight from Lagos or Abuja? Would you travel from Lagos and get to Calabar and start a 7-hour tortuous journey? You will never do it the next time. So I know that for the ranch to succeed, I need an airport. Please ask me what is the state of the airport. And I will show you videos and I'll show you pictures. You will see that I have completed the terminal building, I've completed the firefighting, I've brought in all the fire equipment, I've completed all the equipment that are required for the airport. And we are the last phase of the runway. A 3-kilometer runway that can take all the basic aircraft that fly here in Nigeria. Fantastic, the best airport you will find in Nigeria. It's complete. It's being completed in Obudu. Just to be able to breathe life into Obudu Cattle Ranch. It is only when you deal with the remote cause of the failure of ranch, which is access. It is only when you deal with the access that you now can deal with the beauty of the ranch itself. I have invested so much.
Governor,
if you go to Obudu Cattle Ranch today, and Tinapa, I met Tinapa. Tinapa was already in debt. It was in controversy. AMCON and Cross River State government were fighting, and the pressure was building on me to give her Tinapa. I said, no, Tinapa is a heritage. It's something that I don't want to touch because I don't have money to renovate. People are coming, are asking me to pay $75 million. $75 million for the renovation of the Tinapa. Where would Cross River State get $75 million? So Tinapa is something I met the way I met it. I left it that way because the amount of money for renovation is huge. If you decide to convert Tinapa to a university, I've thought of converting it to a commercial city center with the African Continental Free Trade Area Program for it to be used for the Gulf of Guinea, processing of export for the Gulf of Guinea. But we need to have a jetty because Tinapa doesn't have a jetty. So how do you bring in goods and take them out? So Tinapa was structured dysfunctionally, engineered in a way that it cannot work except so many other indices come to play. And that's why Tinapa can work. And how would you ask me to go and invest in Tinapa when I can't pay salary? When people can't earn their salary, and you want me to go and invest in such a sophisticated edifice which would have been better located in a place like Lagos? So, look, it's easy to stay from the distance and criticize.
Thank you, Governor Ayade. Well, just to, as a round off, on a reflective note, looking back at your tenure as Governor of Cross River State, there must be some lessons that you might have learned that you'd like to share with the incoming administration, especially Governor Prince Bassey Otu. What are those lessons? Maybe errors that perhaps or things you'd have done better, or things that you already mentioned, the things that you're proud of. So maybe lessons from things that you're not so proud of. And then on the next part of it is, what's next for you? You lost your Senate bid, so what is the next part? What's up in the future for you?
First, I didn't lose the Senate bid. We have to deal with that issue. Until it's cleared, I'm still a potential senator. And as a matter of fact, the main ambition why I sought to go back to the Senate against my wish was because I thought that I had more value to add as a president of this country. For Bassey Otu, I will advise him, he has to have a big heart. The society sees a governor like a man who is holding their destiny. If a child is sick, they think the governor is responsible. Public criticism is very high. Rise above the critics and face your God and convince your soul. Bassey Otu, you don't have to listen to your people. Your most celebrated day is the day of your swearing-in ceremony. By the following day, you have picked a chief of staff. 21 other people who were looking for it, already you are enemy. You pick your chief press secretary. Others who were expecting have become enemies. Criticism starts from as celebrated as you are today. So you have people who, for everything you do, they see it as wrong because their uncle or father or daughter or somebody has been denied opportunity they thought they deserve. So first thing is that you must have big hearts. Don't stop being a good man because what you see is people writing nonsense. But the reality is that those people who are writing are less than 0.1% of crossover population. But their voice are being heard because those who believe in you are silent. But you show it in election. Nobody will remember that Ayade won election 18 local government over 18, my first term and second term. The first and only governor to achieve that feat because of my wide acceptability. If there were no army in Ogoja, there were no, if you look at the announcement of the results of the senatorial district, there was not one single APC person inside the collation center. Not even our agents, they were all chased out. And only PDP was inside. You say, why would it happen to a ruling party? But just go and ask the army. So I want to tell you, and my concluding remarks, Basio too, that you must focus on bringing the values of the industries we have laid. Nobody will say that a chicken processing factory is a bad project. But again, when you realize the difficulty of sustaining the feed, I mean, you don't need to own a soya farm or own a corn farm if you have money to buy the feeds. But if you make a concession to somebody and every day the concessionaire brought expatriates and 2-3 major attempts on their life for kidnap, they left. See, look, it's not everything I need to say here. Unfortunately, none of you have held this public office at this level to see how difficult it is to go and take an allocation paper and you are seeing 980 million naira and they are telling your salary is 3.6 billion, 3.2 billion. That deficiency, you cannot sleep. And somebody is somewhere saying that you collected 45 billion. That didn't exist except in paper. Senator Basio too, rise above critics. Know that only God elevated you to this position. And it is the good of the people you should focus on. Ultimately, it will take generations. They will start appreciating, oh, we now understand. If they could say that Ayade was doing superhighway because he wants to sell trees on a straight line, and today the superhighway, we have finished all the corridor, finished the clearing, we have finished phase 1 of it, ready for commissioning, and there's so much silence on the superhighway. And that's why I want to also say that those of you who are interviewing us, remember that you invited me to come here. I didn't call you to say I want to come here. You come here, well, even if you have the negative questions to ask, also try to also comment. Because you've never seen anything positive with what all I've done. You come too strong on the negative side. Try to be balanced. Moderation is the rule. Because listening to your questions, I begin to wonder whether you did not do an analysis of crossover before I came in. That there were no flights at all going to Calabar. That the Obudu cattle ranch was not in operation when I came into office. That the company from South Africa that was running have never paid 1 kobo to the state. That the aircraft that were going to Obudu, the fees were subsidized by Cross River State government. Aero was flying to Obudu. 2-3 seats, the rest empty. Cross River State government was paying for the difference. But they couldn't pay anymore, and that stopped before I became governor. You don't remember all of this. All you remember is what one cheap person has written.
The opportunity to
I am far too
respond.
sophisticated.
The opportunity to respond is the purpose of this interview. So we've asked you questions and you've been able to commend yourself in areas that you feel you've done very well for Cross Riverians. Thank you for your time this morning.
Very, very well, very well. I commend myself. Thank you.
All right, this is a big one from Ben Ayade. This is a good interview. If you now want to come for interview on Arise TV, must you come if they invite you? You must be prepared if you won't come. And this interview has sparked so much reaction. So people are saying that, Governor Ayade, why you lie? The man is so emotional. And Rufai need to take it easy sometimes. No one say we need obesity next, please. What a man. That's a serious question. You if you watch this end, you gonna know what you are the talk. Oh Jesus. See how Rufai is. Rufai they laugh. Yeah, they know what's up now. The man just he has a blow grammar. You know, sometimes you need people to like just do this sometimes to these people so that they will know say next time someone go hold them accountable. And when they are being held accountable, and they at least they don't say they're coming to, they really talk, say yes, we don't do this, instead of just going all around and pushing around and everything. So, I can't be reading so much that is going on in the comment section. Someone said it should just go into comedy, not governor. Oh yeah, sorry. then they laugh. Yeah. Prof, what lesson have you learned, sir? The advice can take place in government house. Profile is the best. Arise News, please invite Governor Lalong of Plateau State. Thank you. I don't tell you if you now won't come Arise TV. You not think twice before you come. No be by force. If you don't say you get skeleton for your wardrobe, you get skeleton for your for your closets. You no come. Just say and you dey busy. Say you dey go out of state. Oh, no, the Ayade, you have failed. This man is loaded with idea. I hope the next government make those ideas work fully. Pension and salary still hold. Is off his mic. Arise TV. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is an interview with Governor Ayade on Arise TV, and it's an interesting one. Hey, please watch and see how the thing go. Make sure you share. God bless you. Until I come your way next time. Again, my name is David Israel. Hey, continue to have fun. Enjoy yourself.